Kinda short, isn't it? Yeah.
Just make it quick.
Mm-hmm.
You're good.
Good?
Mm-hmm.
Good evening, everybody. I'd like to call the Town of Alexandria Board meeting to order on May 17th, 2023 at 6 p.m. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call the meeting to order. Motion to approve and pay the abstract, the bills. I've been through them all. I do have a couple things I want to point out here, which we'll talk to the village about this. On the village water bills, they are billing us EDU for sewer of $67.75 for Route 12, Edgewood Master Meter, Redwood Master Meter, and one other master meter. And we don't understand why. So
this looks like it's going back to November of 21. I don't understand why we haven't been told before tonight, but we switched our billing from just our old system to the EDU. Probably a glitch in the system. We can, we'll talk about it. I'll get a hold of Molly tomorrow and we'll get it corrected.
I'll see.
I think you were told.
Things happen, and don't take this the wrong way, but like a couple of years ago, when, like you say, in 2021, when you guys, the first billing, I look at these things and I notice that sewer charge, and there's no village sewer in the town. So
There isn't?
no,
Okay.
And the master meter.
No, we'll go through it and
right, but
get a hold of you and find out.
But I was having a conversation with.
Finish, because he talked to the village about this.
I had a conversation with Nicole, and Nicole called Molly, but it's no big deal. That's all, but it was a while ago, and we kind of forgot about it, and then Sandy kind of said, hey, reminded me, and said, yeah, I remember that conversation.
I think we can work it out.
Yeah, I'm sure it's just a billing thing, just needs to get in there, and you have to physically check that, move that lever to. It's just a master meter, it's not a house.
So I'll make a motion to approve the bills except for the 4 water bills that we're talking about here.
The only other thing that Mike found it last month on our Verizon bill, we spent $20 less than what the payment was due.
Yeah, I don't understand why, she got a bill for $120 and sent a check back for $100. Is exactly $20. If I don't know why.
So we just need to check that out with Nicole.
Yeah, I don't understand why that happened, because when the next bill came along, there was additional $20 to make up for the fact we had sent it up.
Other than that, I looked through the bills too, and I'm good with them aside from that stuff.
Second them?
Yes.
Any further discussion on the bills?
Yeah, I won't vote on it.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? None.
I'm gonna abstain, because I haven't seen them.
Just a thought, when I was on the school board, we rotated looking at the bills, because it takes a lot of time. And I don't know how everybody else feels, but if we've got a couple of people that have gone through them, I'm okay with that. I don't know how other towns do it, but the idea is they need to be looked at, but I'm not sure there's any requirement that all 5 of us have to look at it. It might be worth finding out with the Association of Towns or something, but it's important that somebody looks at them, but I'm comfortable with one or 2.
Even simpler than that, I think we collectively would like to see them on at least the Friday before.
Right, which it sounds like that's being addressed.
So make it from that Friday to the next, that month. It doesn't have to be the next, the town board meeting day. It could be, make that the month that we look at the bills to that point. And then the next billing period would be then that next month.
what I'd like to do is I'd like to put it in writing, for our bookkeeper, as, with the dates that we'd like to have that stuff, because
Yeah.
we've got abstract, we've got bills, we've got invoices. We're having a lot of that stuff sent to us electronically, but we all need more time, and I agree with the time period. I think it needs to be the week before the meeting, because we're getting, you know, we got it for a little while on Friday or Monday, and now we're down to Tuesday, and
Right.
it's just not. So I thought I'd put it in writing and pass it out to everybody and see if anybody has anything to add to it as far as, because you know, we've wanted the profit and loss statements for the court and the transfer site and the rink. I don't have those, different things like that we'd like to see every month. At least I would, and I think you guys would too, so.
Yeah.
Okay. The next one is the minutes. We have 3 things of minutes in front of you.
I read through those and I was good with them, so I'll make a motion to
That's how too.
approve the
Yeah,
minutes.
I gave Sandy my comments previously.
Okay,
They were updated with what they've got.
yep. Motion, Sean?
Yeah.
Second by Ron. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? None. Okay, the next one is public concerns. Does anybody have any public concerns? Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm Rick Andre. I live on Pearl Road, and I'm finding out about this short-term rental stuff. And Brent was nice enough to give me the stuff that's done already, and it doesn't explain anything. I read it a few times, but I have some real concerns because where we are, the road to access the whole place is on my land. I actually own the road, and I know we just bought it recently, and Brian and Deb Salisbury own the other part. And we had to say we would maintain the road and keep it open for residents. Anybody in an Airbnb is not a resident in my mind. I also build and maintain the docks. I can't see how they could possibly be included in someone's rental. So after reading this, they've got some good work in here, but most of the work they've done is to protect the people renting, as far as going in and checking for fire extinguishers, and it's up to electric code and things. Nothing to protect the people down there. There's about 20 homes down there, give or take. And at least 90% of them are retirees, and that's our retirement home, and we've got it because we want peace and quiet. My biggest concern is biker weekend. The place that's going up for rent is 4 bedrooms, and according to this, that means you can have 10 people there. So we could possibly, and it's far-fetched, we could possibly have 10 Hells Angels down there in a retirement community. Can't happen. Can't happen. Now, I have used them before in Hawaii and in Florida, and they had problems there, and they changed their rules a lot easier ways than it looks like we're doing it. They have a minimum of 3 months stay. It takes care of all the weekend warriors. If you're there 3 months and you're paying that kind of money for it, chances are we're not going to have any problems with it. So I'm not saying we're 100% good, they can't do it, but there has to be something to keep the weekend warriors away, especially in a party town like A-Bay. We're 3 miles, 2 to 3 miles down the road. I can't imagine what's going to go on and tearing up the road that I'm maintaining. And then none of that really is addressed in here that I can see. But really, a 3-month, originally Hawaii, we were there, was 6 months, and they had enough complaints that they brought it to 3. And what they did is there's 3 residential tourist areas there. Waikiki Beach, Turtle Bay Cove, and Canada, the 3rd one. There, anything goes. You got hotels there 1 and 2 nights. If you want an Airbnb 1 or 2 nights, anything goes in those areas because it's made for that. But basically, a retirement community is a bad place to, and I'd like to see something done before it, you know, gets taken or goes overboard or something.
Okay. So you'll be in the minutes, the stuff is recorded, and we'll pass that on to the short-term rental committee.
All right, thank you.
And all of us. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Next.
For those that don't know me, I'm Dan Peterson. The board already knows me. I got a few comments I'd like to make tonight. I think it was interesting, the conversation about paying the bills. I'll bring that up at the end. So, I would just like to point out some historical facts. I know you guys have a resolution on your agenda tonight, and I think this is pertinent to your resolution. In February 2017, the board promised the Redwood citizens an audit of the Redwood Water and Sewer District, and never completed that audit started by EFPR. In July 2018, the town board sent a letter to citizens alleging an audit was completed. And then they had to retract and say, well, no, that wasn't in fact an audit, that's false, those things aren't true. In 2019, the board again promised the Redwood citizens they would audit the Redwood Sewer District, and they hired Crawley Halloran to perform that audit. Again, that time, Crawley Halloran never produced a completed audit. Later in 2019, several citizens signed affidavits requesting the court order an audit be done. That audit was conducted, and after it was conducted and the report was released, the board refused to accept the audit's findings. That was an independent auditor from Syracuse, not affiliated with anybody. The town has never proven that auditor was wrong. Certain town officials only claim they have. In 2020, the town hired the Bondeo Group to audit and certify their books for 2019 and 2020. Again, no completed audit. You also told the court, hey, Bondado's gonna audit our books and they're gonna certify everything's fine. Put it in the proceedings, it was in the affidavits, and it was never produced. Gentlemen, you have produced no independent audit, so you have no proof, yet you still demand everyone should believe the records are accurate. This mess is not the fault of the freeholders. They have completed an audit. That audit vindicates their concerns. Whether you believe it or not, that's what the auditor said. In contrast, the town has a paid consultant who so far hasn't been able to convince any of his peers, including Bonadeo. The Redwood District was a mess, and everyone pretty much knows it. Punishing people in Redwood is not a solution to anything. They're not to blame for the shoddy accounting. The town billed the sewer district for fire hydrants, for Pete's sake. I mean, think about that. Fire hydrants were billed to the sewer district. All right, these problems aren't made up. That bill stood on the books for 3 years until I brought it forward and said, hey, look at this. For example, here's a fire hydrant built to the sewer district. Everybody agreed, yeah, that's not right. Right? But 3 years later, there it was on the books. So, you know, the problems that were brought forth, they weren't made up. They're legitimate. You may not agree with how far it went or what the auditor said, but to say that the problems aren't real and that the people weren't justified just isn't being honest. You can dislike me, you know, in the way that I went about it, you know, maybe you didn't like my presentations or whatever it is, you know, but taking it out on the citizens of Redwood isn't going to solve that, right? It's not going to be just. I can't see how it's possibly just. Now, of course, you probably know by now that we're going to appeal, right? So it's ongoing. Unfortunately, here we are, more. Not what I would want it. I wanted you guys to finish all those audits. I don't know why it's my fault or anybody's fault that you, the town board now, some of you are different here now, and it's not all the same members. You know, I'll point that out to anybody watching, right? But the board promised the citizens an audit and never delivered. I mean, more than one time. So, in conclusion here, you know, I find it really interesting that all these problems were brought forth about bills that were improperly charged, okay? Fire hydrants, only one of hundreds that were clearly marked like, this is a Route 12 checkbook, this is a Route 12 water bill, this is, all these things that said Route 12 on them got billed to Redwood somehow, and they say Route 12 right on the invoices. And tonight, ironically, Mr. Thompson is sitting here suggesting that only one person should review the bills, and that would be fine. When historically, you know, stuff is constantly being missed and overlooked. Now, I never said that that stuff happened on purpose, but I certainly did say that there was an intentional cover-up. That's my belief of what happened and what went wrong, right? That's my view of it. So, whatever you guys decide tonight, I mean, you're the town board, you can do whatever you want. You've been doing whatever you want, pretty steady. But know this, all right? We're gonna appeal it, and if you pass this $130,000 legal fee onto Redwood, I will be going to Albany with my attorney, my new attorney, right? And we're gonna see if we can get the Albany comptroller to audit the Redwood district like they should have done when we asked back in 2017 and never did, and say, listen, if we're gonna be charged $130,000 in legal fees, can you please, you know, do an audit to confirm, break the stalemate here. Yeah, the town's got somebody that says, oh yeah, this isn't right, but that's your person. You hired him, you paid him. He's not independent, right? He's not the same as the independent guy from Syracuse, who by the way, uses completely different government accounting auditing standards, right? The actual standards that will be required to audit a government, right? That's accepted throughout the entire community, that this is the way you do it. This is the standard you use. This is the procedures. Because you hired a consultant that didn't follow that same standard, right? Who just basically overlooked some previous audits of EFPR. Now, guys, you all know that EFPR didn't verify any of the expenses. That's not part of their audit process. A townwide audit doesn't verify every single expense. That's your guys' job. That's when you review the bills, like we were talking about tonight. Hey, I gotta have time to review the bills, like Mr. Cream said. He said, I'm gonna abstain because I haven't had a chance to look at them. Because he doesn't wanna say, yeah, I agree those bills should be paid, if he hasn't looked at the invoices and said, hey, this stuff is all to the, I'm sorry, that's my phone doing that. I'm a little deaf, so that goes off, apologize. But, you know, he knows that he doesn't wanna sign something, not knowing that, hey, it's all right, and these invoices are billed where they're supposed to be billed. You know, historically, the town has done a terrible job at that. I mean, those are just the facts. So I'm a little bit just, you know, confused on your statement here tonight, Mr. Thompson, about that. Now, maybe, I'm gonna give you this, right? So maybe if there's one dedicated person that's gonna do a much better job, right, than the 5 of you trying to do it at the last minute, okay? That's better than what's been happening. I'm gonna give you that, right? I'm gonna say, okay, well, you know, you think we should do something different than the system that you currently have it. I don't think it's working well. I'm not sure all of you think it's working well, so I'm not trying to just, you know, say, hey, wait a minute here, pick on you, but I'm just saying, you know, I don't know if one person is the answer or not. You guys can have the discussion, but, you know, this thing is just, it never seems to end. And I know you blame me for it, but I'm just trying to stick up for the citizens of Redwood. Listen, I looked at all those invoices. I spent hours and hours and hours in here. You guys watched me do it. I went through every single invoice. I know what was charged improperly and what wasn't. If a check and an invoice and a bank statement isn't proof that stuff was improperly charged, I don't know where we're at in this world. I just don't. I'm totally confused. I don't understand why this even has gone as far as it did. So, thanks for listening. That's all I got.
Any other public concerns? Okay, we'll move on and go to the agenda here. Item number 1, Supreme Court of the State of New York Appellate Division, 4th Judicial District Department, Daniel Peterson versus Town of Alexandria, decision rendered and published on May 5th, 2023. There's copies of the decision up there on the table. Everybody has one here.
I'd like to read it into the record.
Okay.
If that would be okay?
Yep.
Okay. So, Mr. Peterson stated, his opinion of a timeline that has gone on for about 6 years now. The most recent decision by the Supreme Court, State of New York, Appellate Division, 4th Judicial Department. This was a decision by a panel of 5 judges, Judges Whalen, Smith, Curran, Montour, and Ogden. and it's titled, "In the Matter of Daniel B. Peterson, Petitioner, Appellant, Town of Alexandria, Respondent." This is the memorandum and order. It was an appeal from a judgment of the Supreme Court, Jefferson County, Judge James P. McCluskey, entered on September 28, 2021. His judgment dismissed the petition. It is hereby ordered that the judgment so appealed from is unanimously affirmed without cause. Memorandum. And stated above, it says Daniel B. Peterson, petitioner. So to make this a little easier to read, where it says petition is talking about Mr. Peterson. So Peterson commenced this special proceeding seeking, with respect to the only remaining cause of action in the petition, a summary investigation pursuant to General Municipal Law S4 into certain financial affairs of respondent Town of Alexandria. In support thereof, Peterson presented to Supreme Court the requisite affidavits of property owners who paid taxes on real property within the town in the past year, alleging that monies of the town consisting of sewer and water funds were being unlawfully or corruptly expended. Following proceedings on the petition, the court, upon consideration of the pleadings and submissions, dismissed the petition on the ground that the allegations had not been substantially proved, and also denied Peterson's motion brought by order to show cause, seeking injunctive and other relief. Peterson appeals, and we now affirm. General Municipal Law S4, which is the same as its predecessor statute, provides that upon presentation of the requisite affidavits, followed by required notice to the applicable officers of the subject town or village, the court shall make a summary investigation into the financial affairs of such town or village, and the accounts of such officers, and in its discretion may appoint experts to make such investigation, and may cause the result thereof to be published in such manner as it may deem proper. The statute further provides that the costs incurred in such investigation shall be taxed by the court and paid upon its order by the officers whose expenditures are investigated, if the facts in such affidavit be substantially proved, and otherwise by the property owners making such affidavit. If the court shall be satisfied that any of the monies of such town or village are being unlawfully or corruptly expended, or are being appropriated for purposes to which they are not properly applicable, or are improvidently squandered or wasted, shall forthwith grant an order restraining such unlawful or corrupt expenditure, or such other improper use of such monies. Peterson contends that, after appointing an expert accounting firm to perform the investigation and receiving its report, the court erred in permitting the town to retain its own expert accountant, and in considering the report prepared by that accountant. We reject that contention. The statute commits the appointment of experts to the discretion of the court, and the court was entitled in this special proceeding to require the submission of additional proof. We cannot conclude on this record that the court abused its discretion, either in permitting the town to retain its own expert accountant, or in considering the report prepared by that accountant, particularly in view of Peterson's involvement in the selection of the court-appointed expert accounting firm, which included interviewing that firm and several others, specifically recommending and requesting that the court appoint the subject expert accounting firm, and signing the corresponding engagement agreement, as well as the fact that Peterson worked with the accounting firm by providing it with documentation. Contrary to Peterson's related contention, we conclude that the court, in evaluating whether the allegations were substantially proved, was not required to simply accept the findings in the report of the expert accounting firm. That report was not conclusive, but was merely for the information of the conscience of the court. Upon our review of the record, we further conclude that the court did not abuse its discretion in determining that the allegations had not been substantially proved, and the court thus dismissed the petition. Inasmuch as injunctive relief is simply not available when Peterson does not have any remaining substantive cause of action, dismissal of the remaining substantive cause of action in the petition mandated denial of Peterson's motion seeking injunctive relief. At the very end, we have considered petitioner's remaining contentions, and we conclude that they do not require modification or reversal of the judgment. Two sides to every story. New York State Comptroller's Office has been involved with this. One New York State Supreme Court Justice, and now 5 Appellate Division Justices, all unanimously saying the same thing, that the record speaks for itself.
Okay. Anybody else have anything to add to that? No? Okay, so then we will move on to number 2. Resolution to charge legal and accounting and all defense fees. We have a copy of an opinion from the New York State Comptroller's Office. We also have the same opinion from the Association of Towns and municipal lawyer too. So all 3 opinions basically have told us that the sewer district was the one named in the action, and the sewer district is responsible for the expenses.
This is the saddest part of this whole thing.
Yes, I agree.
I would like to propose that we discuss this with our attorney to see if there's some kind of way that, if you look at say the Redwood Sewer Ordinance in particular, there's a phrase in there that says that the town acts on behalf of the district. The town does all the billing, maintains it, any upgrades, repairs, any of those other things. So in a sense, we should continue looking out for, in this case, the customers of the Redwood Sewer District, and should look for some kind of way that they could have some kind of relief.
The problem we have is the state of New York is kind of black and white on this.
I know,
hold on, let me finish. And what's been happening over the last 6 years, 7 years, all the bills have been paid for by the general fund.
And that's wrong.
And they've made it very clear, the Association of Towns, and also the opinion of the New York State Comptroller's Office, that as it says, municipal funds, improvement district charges, legal fees and cost of settlement of actions against town board, water district charge back the legal fees, cost of settlement of actions against the town. And it says the cost of the settlement of an action or proceeding against the town arising out of the operation of a special improvement district, which is what the Redwood Sewer District is, as well as related legal fees incurred, is properly charged back to the particular district involved as an, in quotes, expensive maintenance of a special improvement district within the meaning of Town Law 202-A. As I said, this is the saddest part of the whole thing, because they're very clear. Now, put it this way, my own opinion, we need to follow the state of New York and charge the sewer district and credit the general fund. There's nothing to prevent us from going forward to doing what you're suggesting, which is try to find them some relief. But I think that's 2 separate issues.
No. We need to make things right.
Yeah.
But we also need to make things right.
I don't disagree with what you're saying, but I think it's 2 separate issues.
To take this up even further, that when I first got on the board, same time you did, the Redwood Sewer District was like about $120,000 or $30,000 in the red. We looked it over, spent a lot of time on it, and the end result was we raised the rate. Something that should have happened over time, a little bit, instead of one big jump. After all this time, up until now, as of April, we're around, don't hold me to this, the exact number, but around $37,000 in the red, as opposed to like $130,000. By the end of this year, we'll be in the teens. What's unfortunately happened with this fiasco is we've generated, what, about $131,000 worth of legal and accounting fees. So all that hard work, all the everybody getting on board over in Redwood is all just gonna be blown out of the water. We're right back to where we were. Which is, that, again, is even, adds to it.
Right.
As bad as this is, it just defeats all that hard work.
Anybody have anything else? Do a motion, or do we wanna?
I think we need a motion to charge the Redwood Sewer District and credit the general fund. And then, as Mike says, going forward, to see if we can do something about it. But I think, to be honest, I think we should have been charging it as the bills came in, and that was wrong, and we have an opportunity to fix it tonight.
I don't know if we could really have done that, cause we didn't know which way it was gonna go. Now we do.
Well, yeah, cause it said that if the town was found to be at fault, yeah. Because, I mean, somebody else, we've got $131,000 worth of fees. We're one side of that lawsuit. Somebody else, I don't know if it's Mr. Peterson or a group there, is also, you're talking potentially $250,000 in just legal fees and stuff. And it's just.
Well, how would you propose that we generate this? It's one thing just to kind of move things from one column to another. How are you gonna get that money?
That is another discussion, because, as you said, there was an accumulated deficit over years, mostly due to the fact that costs increased every year, and the rate to the sewer users was not increased, which was unfortunate. And so now we've got a situation where in front of us, we have a black and white, I think it's a black and white decision. And then going forward, we need to see what we can do to get them relief. But that's a separate issue.
Yeah. But there's around 215 customers over there.
220.
And you divide that into 130, you can see, so we're gonna send that number.
Well, like you said, it's a separate conversation, we'll get
another
but I'm
through
just
this
saying
piece and then go to the next.
Hopefully well, you said we'd like to look into getting some relief, maybe we can find some, somehow, some way.
But again, I think we need to discuss it with our attorney, see what our options are.
I agree.
Anybody else have anything to say, or do we wanna, somebody have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion, do you have the exact figure? It's like
131,506 point, Sandy, .21.
I don't have it.
What are we doing?
Somebody have one of those sheets here?
You emailed it?
Okay.
You emailed it to us?
Yeah.
save all these pieces of paper.
131,506.21, I thought. There it is, right there, isn't it? Yeah, there it is, 131,506.21.
Okay, so I would like to make a motion to transfer, or to credit, okay. I would like to make a motion to credit the general fund $131,506.21, and to charge the Redwood Sewer District the same amount.
Need a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
Second by Sean. Discussion on that motion?
I don't know what can we say?
I mean, we've all seen the actual controller's, what do they call it, opinions, I guess? Because we also know that the controller's office doesn't like to put things in writing very often, for whatever reason. That's the way they operate. But the information that's been given to us mirrors what we've been through completely.
So everybody has in front of them a Town of Alexandria Special District Expense Policy. This is a policy that the town has. This was produced by our town accountant, Mike Lasan, and basically a summary of the expense policies for all of our special districts. and it basically mirrors everything that we've said, the opinion of the state, the opinion of the Association of Towns. He's got in here the New York State Comptroller legal opinion, the New York State Comptroller's opinion besides the legal opinion, legal guidance, direct expenses and indirect expenses. He goes into basically the complete expense policy that we have, which, as I said, totally supports the opinions from the Comptroller's office.
Right. I might also note at the top of that, it talks about generally accepted accounting principles, otherwise known as GAAP.
Yep.
And we heard 20 minutes ago about how one expert used that and another didn't. It's simply not true. And so, anyway, I won't get into that any further.
Any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying yes?
Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
All those, not in favor of the motion signify by saying no.
I'm not gonna vote on it, I can't do it to Redwood.
I'm sorry?
I'm not gonna vote on it, I can't do it to
Recuse
Redwood.
yourself, okay.
I don't think any of us
I know,
wanted.
I know, I can't.
What can we do?
Sorry, I know, I'm not disagreeing, I'm just,
I hate this. This is wrong. This is so
I agree.
bad, but
I mean, the biggest, thing that I can say is that I agree with Mike and Ronnie that we need to try to find relief.
Yep.
We need to look into that and search. We obviously have been searching and we haven't found any relief to help us with this, but we need to continue to try.
It's a sad reality that we knew was coming.
Yep.
Yeah.
well.
And I might mention that we just found out tonight, it's not over with
I
yet.
know, I was just gonna say that.
Because it was about $80,000 when we got done with the Supreme Court decision. Then we ended up having to go to Rochester with the appellate division, that was like another $50,000. So, anyway.
So the third level will obviously be X amount more dollars.
Well, there's a big
Answers.
difference with the third level. Third level picks and chooses.
So nothing
The
might
second level is guaranteed.
Yeah.
You're allowed to appeal. But the Court of Appeals, which is the high court of the land in the state of New York, you're not guaranteed. And so what you have is a comptroller's decision, a Supreme Court justice decision, and 5 unanimous appellate court division judges. And they have to decide whether they wanna look at that, see if somebody did something wrong.
Yep.
I'll sleep good.
Okay. I just wanted to ask you a question, Ron. When you were talking earlier about the school board and the people that, you had a team that would go in and look at the bills.
Right.
You didn't say one person, did you? You said there was always a couple.
It would be at least one person.
But you
At
said they
least one,
rotate.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We'd rotate it because it takes a lot, to do it properly, it takes a lot of time.
Oh, yeah, it sure does.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And so the thought was to rotate it, to share the burden.
okay.
Right.
Which
I mean,
deal?
the ideal situation, all 5, personally, I have, if I didn't have confidence in the people that were looking at the bills, that'd be a different deal. I have confidence in the people that are looking at these.
Yeah. And I, as the supervisor, always go through them, so if there's another person besides that, you know, that was.
So that means at least 2
Yep.
then.
Yep.
And Nicole's
Okay.
going through.
Right.
Anybody have anything else on these items? We'll move on. And it's Hearts for Youth for number 3. They have something they'd like to show us.
I'm Cindy Demo, and I'm the Vice President and Secretary of Hearts for Youth. This is Mary Beth Jarvis, and she's our office manager, and she runs the older kids program.
Yes, I do the teens and tween program, as we like to say.
So what we'd like to tell you a little bit about, we've got a presentation, but we'd like to tell you where your money goes. And first place, a new thing that your money goes to is Boomer Movers, which is our exercise program for our 55-plus individuals in the area. And it started with 10 people a year ago, and it's turned into about 65-plus people here in the village. And we are at the river edge right now, because we grew out of the village hall, so we're at the river edge. Then Clayton got the wind of this program, so we've moved over on 2 days to the Painter Center, and they're loving it over there, and a lot of our Alex Bay people go over there too. Another thing that we've introduced is intergenerational programming, which that means that we have the youth and older people as a grandparent or a parent, working together. They've been playing games, we're gonna do some arts and crafts. We have all sorts of things planned for them. We've also introduced some adult arts and crafts classes. And we started with Steve and Mary Beth doing these wire trees that are all twisted and they've got jewels hanging off of them. We did it with the kids, and some of our adults saw it. A couple of teachers in the school saw it and said, hey, we want to do that. So we worked out a deal with the adults, and now that's grown into adults wanting to do more crafts. They are very anxious to do some jewelry classes. The kids have done some resin jewelry with dried flowers in it, and they saw that and they're like, okay, we want to do that now. So our program has moved in a direction that we actually didn't know it was going to go, and it just kind of naturally happened. After COVID, so many people were just crying for something to do, to get out, and we started the Boomer Movers when we still all had to wear masks, and we had to be 8 feet apart, 6 feet apart, whatever it was, and that's just grown and grown and grown. The other thing that we are going to now do is we're going to tear apart the community garden that's over between the library and the village hall. We're going to take the dirt out of there because it's full of all sorts of nasty bugs and whatnot and weeds. And we're going to build some raised beds. We've got some volunteers that will help us build them. We were going to purchase them, and then I started shopping around, and they are so expensive to buy. So we had a lot of people say, and there's our garden last year. And we had a lot of people say, well, we can help you build them. So that's what we're going to do this summer. So that's what's new, what's going on. We are progressing. Penny Heath started Hearts for Youth many years ago. And Jean was on the board, and I was on the board, and we are trying to get back to some of Penny's visions. And she's all about this. She's helped us. I've talked to her many times, and we are really trying to get to the youth in need in this community, which is huge, with the teenagers, the preteens. And we have seen some of these kids come totally out of their shell. They're very quiet kids, very laid back, and they start doing the crafts. We had a couple kids with Steve. He was doing wood burning with them, and these poor little kiddos didn't want to do it, and they were afraid, and we just took the time with them, and they have blossomed into much more outgoing children. So we're very happy with that. So Mary Beth will tell you some more.
So, a couple very quick statistics, and I'll tell you more fun things than just numbers. Since 2021, when the adult exercise program, the Boomer Movers, was started, we have seen an over 200% increase in adult participation in our program, which I find astounding. It's fantastic. Also, since 2021, we've seen an over 15% increase in the youth participation in the program. And a lot of that is due to just, like Cindy said, expanding our program, offering different things that these kids have never been exposed to. Last summer, for something a little bit more fun, we did an outdoor summer splash painting session. Mm-hmm. We gave the kids water balloons and squirt guns and let them fill the guns with paint and said, here's some canvases. We were behind the village hall in that giant parking lot back there. And the kids just had a blast, chucking paint at canvases, chucking water balloons. They got to throw water balloons at each other and me afterwards. I mean, why not, right? But doing stuff that's a little bit outside of the box, a little bit creative, a little bit different. We take some risks with our programs. Very few have been, nah, there have been one or two that the kids were like, it was fun, but I don't know if I want to do it again. But like the resin jewelry, the beaded jewelry. We did diamond painting recently, and the first through third graders could not stop talking about how much fun that they had. First through third graders, how do they sit there and do the diamond painting? They loved it. Thought it was fantastic. We have kids begging for wood burning all the time. We have kids begging to do another cooking class, as some of the slides prior had shown. Basically, we can't thank you guys enough for all the support you've given us over the years, and we just hope to continue it because it's really making an impact on these children. I try to go to the school a couple times a month at the Hearts for Youth office there, and kids stop in and go, hey, what are we doing next? I wanna do this. Okay, cool, you guys wanna do resin painting? They wanted to do paper mache, that's what's starting in 2 weeks. Paper mache with Miss Hebert. So, we couldn't do these things, we couldn't provide these activities, something a little bit different that these kids wouldn't have access to without the community, without you guys and all the support. So, basically, we wanna say thank you, and we wanna just hope that that continues. So, do you guys have questions for us?
I do, yeah. So, I'm aware this presentation was probably brought on, you guys found out about some internal conversations that we were having within the board. I don't know how inept you guys are to that information, but pretty much there's two things that I wanna ask you. You said that you have involvement from other towns, town of Clayton, town of Orleans, right? What contribution are you getting from their towns?
We have had financial contributions. We've had donations come in from places like New Jersey, actually.
Yeah.
Primarily.
So part of our budget,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
We're assigning that to Hearts for Youth. No other program gets that.
Correct.
Okay, so that's pretty much an exception to the rule. So my question is, what is the town of Clayton putting in their budget?
That's an excellent question, because we're
Orleans.
going after them now.
Okay, so,
Because we need the data, and that's what Mary Beth and I have been compiling. How many kids from Clayton are coming? How many kids from Watertown? And I think the sheet that I left for you guys in the envelope with the pens and everything, I think that has that on there. So, that's our next step. And we never really had that many kids from all over. What's happening are the homeschool children need some place to go. So the moms start talking about that, and that's where some of those Watertown kids came from. They're homeschool kids. And they needed some place to go for extra stuff. So these people bring their kids up whenever they see something they want to do. But that is something that we are looking at. We have the data now, so now we can go and say, hey, can you give us $1,000?
Yeah.
Can you do this? Can you do that? Which they probably will.
And that was an excellent point, Sean, and primarily, majority of children come from the Alexandria School District. But, like Cindy said, I think that's an excellent point you bring up.
okay.
Thank you for that.
The other piece of it is when we're discussing this stuff as a board, we provide a percentage breakdown of our cans and bottles, okay? And a huge chunk of that's going to Hearts for Youth in comparison to other groups, pretty much. Now we're getting tabbed by multiple groups. I think technically we're up to 8 groups, correct? So, I feel that personally, let me just say something else. I fully support what you guys are doing, okay? Obviously, I'm a big proponent of the youth program here at the town. Anytime a kid gets out of a house, I'm super happy, I'm super thrilled. I love what you guys do. This is not an objection to what you do, but as a representative of the tax base, when I get a phone call from another group, when I get a phone call from another taxpayer, I get asked, why is there one group that gets this amount of money and why do they get 60% of our cans and bottles, okay? The only reason why I'm bringing this up, this is not an objection point, I just want some facts out there for people to realize and understand. I know that I've been here for a year and a half on this board now, and I haven't had this presentation, right? So, obviously, there was some internal conversation that's got back to Hearts for Youth. You're here to present. I'm glad that you guys are, okay? But if this is, you know, something that you've heard, I wanted you to know that that's my stance on this particular topic, okay? Yep. I think that there's a little bit of an equity miss when it comes to our bottles and cans. And outside of that, that's really what predicated all that conversation.
Yep.
Okay?
And what you're saying is more than fair. COVID took a huge toll on everybody, and a lot of programs have been slower to come back, and I think, you know, 3 years later, we're still having issues, obviously. So it's more than fair, and I completely understand your point and your viewpoint. You're trying to look at things as objectively as possible.
Yes.
I got you.
Yep.
Yep, that's fair.
But thank you, I appreciate you guys coming tonight.
And if any of you guys, anybody in the room would ever want to come to one of these programs to see what is being done with the kids, you're welcome to join. It's an open door policy, anybody's free to pop in and just see what's going on, so please, if you ever free and you're like, you know what, I wanna go down and see what these guys are really about, please, welcome, and we'll give you a paintbrush.
Thank you.
Oh, and Pokemon, tell them about what happened with Pokemon.
So, I have a 16-year-old gentleman who's been to several of our programs, and he approached me at the end of last school year and said, listen, I've been trying for a couple years to get this Pokemon club going, but there was COVID and then scheduling and et cetera. And I was like, listen, dude, I don't know a thing about Pokemon, but if you are willing to be the student leader for this program and really take charge of it and talk to these kids and run the program and make sure that everybody's interacting properly and you teach them the game, you teach them the trading, I will facilitate it. I will be the adult representative that is there to make this happen. First week, we started it in January of this year. First week we had 12 kids signed up. We have 34 now. It's the highest group that we have ever had, and it's fantastic. We have children from 2nd grade to 11th grade, all in the same room, interacting, socializing, laughing, having a great time. We have 3 kids from Clayton coming because their aunt brings them because she's familiar with the bay. But that being said, to have that type of kids having that social interaction, 2nd and 3rd graders with sophomores and juniors in high school, and it all being appropriate and fun and based off of this card game is amazing to witness. Friday afternoon, 3 p.m. at Matt Sherry.
I have quite the Pokemon collection still, so.
You know what? Yeah, there you go.
They're all stored, waiting for them to increase in value.
There you go.
The dynamic between these kids, I just sit, and I feel like a lifeguard, because you just go in the room, because we gotta have a bunch of older adults there, and I just sit there going, oh my gosh, we got these little ones talking to the big kids, and they're speaking their Pokemon language, so, you know, it's just amazing.
And our 16-year-old that runs this, he can get the attention of the entire room just by, and the kids turn and they do the clap back, and they're all like, yes, Stephen, what would you like? So it's a really cool thing to have happened, and it's very exciting for us to see that type of engagement and that type of participation. And we have, between Cindy and myself, we have 3 other adults that are usually their parents of these kids that are like, hey, I don't have anything to do every other Friday. I will come and be a supervisor with you guys. And we just circle the room, make sure all the kids are doing well, and mostly everything is great. They take care of themselves and they have a blast. So.
He even went to the prom in his Pokemon suit.
Yes, he did. Which is an amazing picture. You want to see?
Wow, that's neat.
Yep.
I know nothing about Pokemon, and I'm okay with that.
Same. They try to show me and tell me what these kids are doing and what the cards mean, and I'm like, listen, if it was Harry Potter, I'd probably be fine with that, but
Okay.
can you see something? Yeah.
Tall.
So, that's what he went to prom in.
No,
So, if anybody else wants to see it, I have it, okay?
Thank you for your time, it's very informative.
Thank you.
Thank you guys very much.
Anybody have any questions for him? I think we're all set? Okay, I'd like to move next to, number 8, Bolton Ave Rec Center status. Andrew's here, he'd like to talk to us and probably talk a little bit about setting up a meeting so we can sit down and go over these documents at a future date and time.
Yeah, so, thanks the board for having me tonight. I submitted and presented to you 3 different documents here. And just to back all this up, I was here at the March meeting and presented an initial scoping document. That was the, sort of first phase of our interaction to discuss the project. It was recommended at that meeting in March that we have a workshop. So we hosted here at the town a public workshop, to essentially ask the public and the, residents what they would look for in a project at the rink, what they would see as a fitting, project in terms of an addition and renovation project. That meeting was extremely helpful. We got a lot of good feedback. Much of the feedback actually aligned with our thoughts on what the rink had needed initially. The scope did grow a little bit. The addition for the locker rooms is slightly larger based on the feedback we received. There was a lot of feedback from the public that they would appreciate a second floor, a two-story warming room off the end of the building, so that's been incorporated into the project scope. The renovations to the existing building are virtually the same as what we had discussed in March. However, we are proposing in the scope that the siding and the roofing be completely removed and replaced with new finishes. I think initially we discussed maybe we could get away with trying to reuse and paint and fix what's there. There's been some recent leaks in the roof, and upon looking at it closer and taking some photographs, it's in pretty rough shape, and it's really not in the best interest long-term to try to repair those finishes. So that's what we had essentially brought the scoping concept plan to, were those changes from our March concept. And it's still very much a block diagram scoping plan, just to indicate how large is the addition, how large are the alteration areas, to get an idea of the cost of the project. And that's the second document that we had put together for you, would be the estimate of probable project costs. Essentially, as you're aware, you have hard costs and soft costs in any project. The hard costs are your construction costs. We've got three different parts of the construction costs. There's the addition, there's the alterations to the existing building, and then there's site work. Square footage of the proposed addition would be right around 7,600 square feet. Based on the estimated unit cost per square foot, we would anticipate that cost for the addition to be almost $2.7 million for that addition. For the alterations to the existing building, which include level 1 and level 2 alterations, we've broken this down a little bit further for the unit cost as the scope is a little bit more refined, but the alterations are estimated to cost around $4.367 million. A majority of that scope is really to replace the exterior walls, roofs, insulate the building while we're recladding it, and then essentially a full mechanical, plumbing, and electrical system gut out. There isn't really anything in that building currently for mechanicals, and it should, once it's insulated, have mechanical systems, air handlers to support the building. The plumbing, going with those bathrooms there, that all needs to be pulled back and taken out, and electrically as well. The circuitry in that building is certainly in need of an upgrade, as well as the lighting. All that would be brought up into LED lighting and smart systems. So most of the costs for renovations are in those scopes of work. And then we have a small piece of site work included here. Just looking at the parking lot there, it is in need of a mill and a top coat and to be restriped as part of the project. And we did also include some allowances for sidewalks and miscellaneous site work, site lighting, and things of that nature. Based on those hard costs, those different scopes, we would anticipate a hard construction subtotal of $7.2 million approximately for the project. So then beyond the construction, you have your soft costs. Furniture, fixtures, equipment, we have a line item here. Your bleachers actually would go into that as part of a package for those. which is a majority of that 200,000. We've got architectural and engineering design fees, construction management fees. You're going to have financial and legal fees for bonding, grant writing, contract review. And then the last line item there is for builder's risk insurance. So this is, based on the scope we've put together, our best indication of a probable project cost to take this project forward. Now, I have also provided, next phase really to move into would be schematic design and verifications of existing conditions. We need to update the survey for the project. We need to do a hazardous material study to determine if there's any hazardous materials that need to be abated. Right now, this budget doesn't anticipate anything like that. However, you know, we all know with hazmat that could become something that we need to account for. So that would all be part of the next phase with verifications of existing conditions, and then ultimately moving from there into schematic design. Taking this concept plan actually to define plans, exterior elevations, and renderings to see what does this look like, what does this project, how big are the rooms, performing a code compliance review to make sure we're on the right path for code compliance. And then finally, once we finish schematic design, I think it would be prudent to have an estimating firm review the project and estimate it to confirm that we're on the right track before moving forward with the project. I often see in our discipline a lot of projects that move forward through design without properly budgeting and estimating, and then they can be a big surprise at bid time. So that would be the point of performing that estimation right after schematic design. So, and that's, I provided a proposal to take you through those services for the next step. So.
How many locker rooms do you think you can get over here?
We've discussed...
I know it's blocked right now, but...
It's just a block. We've discussed trying to achieve 5.
Okay.
Minimally 5 would be the number.
Okay.
With a combination of bathrooms and showers. Some would be shared. Based on the scoping meeting, we would shoot to have the varsity locker rooms have their own bathrooms and showers within them.
Okay.
The rest of the locker rooms would probably have shared access.
Yeah.
So I think the next step is what we talked about as far as we need to get together and sit down with you, the board members, and have another part 2 of the scoping and decide what we think of all the different segments here.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot to look at, the budget especially, and digest. Certainly we can move forward in schematic design with a target, whether it be that or lower. We can certainly also, we can keep designing and design a more expensive project as well, but that's still a moving target. It isn't, I don't want you to think that the schematic design process is geared towards that budget.
What do you have for schedule or timing for next week?
For a meeting?
Yeah, to get together with us. I guess I'm thinking, depending on what the board thinks, I'm thinking weekday afternoon, 2, 3 o'clock.
Yeah, that's fine. I can connect with you after the meeting, maybe tomorrow.
I'm sorry?
I can connect with you tomorrow or after the meeting. I can pull up my calendar.
I'd kind of like to ask the board members now while they got their schedules in front of them, is what works for everybody. One of the things that we're thinking about doing is we're thinking about adjourning this meeting because the pricing, we don't have all the final pricing on the DPW building that's going up at the sewer plant. And he should have that pricing, he said, hopefully by the end of this week. So we'd like to try to do something next week. We've been doing them on Wednesdays. I don't know how everybody feels about that. A Wednesday afternoon.
Wednesday would probably be a good day for me.
Be good with you. So we could meet with Andrew at something like 2 o'clock and meet with you for 2 hours.
Yeah.
And then we could do our adjourned meeting at 4 o'clock.
2 o'clock work for you?
Huh?
2 o'clock work for you?
As long as I have enough time to plan out, so I'm not on one of the islands yet.
Like 1 or 2. Earlier would be better for me.
Just do 2.
2 would be good.
2?
I'm gonna be out of town, unfortunately.
2 then, okay?
Yeah, on Wednesday.
So we'll meet with you at 2, and if everybody's okay, we'll schedule our adjourned meeting from tonight for Wednesday at 4. 2 hours give us enough?
Yeah, plenty of time.
Okay, let's say Wednesday, at 4, I'm gonna be somewhere else.
You want us to do it a different day, or?
Well,
you
no, I'm
okay
just
with-
saying, I'm not gonna be here, so.
Are you okay with us?
Yeah, if you guys want,
I
I'm
think
just
there's-
to say I'm not
That
gonna
looks
be
like
here.
there'll be 3 of us here at least,
Yeah.
okay? So we'll do that then, okay, Andrew? And I'll touch base with you just to verify,
Okay,
okay?
yep,
Next you,
yeah, no
Yeah.
problem. Thank you guys.
very interesting
Yes, thank
people.
you, Andrew.
Thanks, Andrew.
Yep. Next, I've got to let Mr. Campany go, because somehow he skated.
I'm not on the agenda.
Somehow you skated from the agenda, but that, you must have special
Health
pull.
officers always
Do you have anything for the, health report?
No, nothing for the hell, everybody's healthy.
Go ahead, Rob.
So just a quick update on Route 12 sewer. I did talk to bond council today. Our next step, as we form the district, we need to finish the bond resolution modification. They weren't able to get it done today. So I'm not sure if they'll be able to complete it by your adjourned meeting next week or not, but certainly by your June meeting, we'll have that together. We are talking with the funding agencies concurrently about the additional funding. So that's moving along as fast as we can do it with the bond council. Goose Bay boat launch, contractor's work is done. They just finished up the path from the upper parking lot down to the lower one. That looks pretty good.
A little concerned about the stone on that path. It's a fine stone, and the wall, the edge of that path is a severe drop off. And one thing we're wondering is how that stone's gonna stay there.
Sure.
Torrential rain.
I'll look at it.
Yeah, if you could take a look at that.
Sure.
And the other couple things I wanna mention is we have to do the landscaping really we have to do something on both sides of that ramp.
Right.
The one side was in the project and we pulled it out, correct?
Correct, yep.
And the other side needs to, at least what he's asked for, is some type of a fence. So,
It's just a request, right? I mean,
Yeah, I think what we'll do is we'll go to, we have to come up with a little landscape plan, obviously, some concept, and we can take it to the local landscapers and get 3 quotes on what, you know.
because we had talked to the landowner on the downriver side quite a bit.
And we have to have a 4-foot high fence there too.
Yeah.
If you recall. And those posts, they're bedrocks right there, so we're gonna have to core into the rock to set the posts probably, but.
Because there'd been discussion about a fence and shrubbery and
Yep.
so on and so forth, so.
So, that's the only real piece left. I did look at the dock, floating dock and the ramp. So, we wanna put the old floating dock and the ramp in, because we had new docks planned, right? But they got pulled out. But I'm a little concerned about it's a very short gangway, right? It's only like 5
Make it
feet
longer.
long. And if we raise that up, you called me earlier, it's gonna make it steeper in low water. So, I think we could reconnect the existing ramp down at the pad eyes that are there, the hinge points, and put a step. So it's gonna be 2 steps up to the top of the new surface of the bulkhead, at least short term, until you just, really it ought to be a longer gangway.
Long ramp.
We ought to have probably a 20 or 30-foot gangway and a new section of floaters out there. And I don't know if the highway department would build those, or it's something you'd wanna buy. But, I mean, ultimately,
I see like on these new floating docks we have at the boat ramps, they've got extremely long gangways. And that's all about the slope, and that's all
it's all
about,
about the.
It's about the water.
about the
really.
48
water level.
inch variance in water level.
You got, you know, this doesn't have to be ADA compliant, okay, because it's under, I think, 20 slips, you know, anytime it's, but an ADA compliant ramp has to be about 80 feet long, right?
One on 12.
Just like Clayton's, you know, in front of the Harbor Hotel, that's an ADA compliant facility, but typically we do 30 footers, right?
to make the slope manageable year-round.
Okay.
So anyway, something to think about, but I think right now, I don't know if we wanna get the highway department to put that back in, and then build a simple step, so we can get on and off that. I can talk to Mike about it. Is Mike gonna be with us tomorrow?
Yes, he will.
All right, we can talk.
We can
So,
talk to
I'm
him
meeting
tomorrow.
Mike and Gene at Butterfield tomorrow to talk about the pavilion as well, and try to get that settled. We did get a permit, you know, the DEC agreed that we can put that pavilion on steel pipe piles, because it's non-jurisdictional, and build a wall, some sort of a wall, but I think we might wanna move that around a little bit. So we're gonna meet tomorrow morning, and review that.
Okay.
What else we got?
Anything else?
I can't think of it.
You were gonna talk a little bit about Swan Bay?
Oh, Swan Bay Bridge.
Swan Hollow.
Swan Hollow Bridge.
Thank you.
So, and Brent's been involved, Mike's been involved, now Gene's involved, so I've had discussions with Mike on how to handle this bridge. And, ranging from, you know, I think Mike's preference is to rip it out, right, and replace it with a box culvert. But I also think you'd wanna, my opinion is, I think you wanna look at repair as well. I mean, it's gonna be a big expense to rip that out, and to do any sort of alignment, but I think short term, I would at least investigate the ability to repair that stone arch. I think there's some other concerns. It is it's an old structure, you know, it's a masonry stone arch, half of that bridge. And I think there's some concern over the historic value of that. And I think it would fall under, SHPO to rip it out. I'm not saying you couldn't do that, but I'm saying it could be, another step we'd have to go through, if you were to tear it out. So there's a lot of moving parts on this little simple bridge thing, and not to overcomplicate it, but I think if we could, look at it and look at repair. Now, I'm not a bridge guy, okay, so I do know some bridge people, Mike knows some bridge people, that we could probably pull in and get some informal opinions on how to handle it before we get too far. Gene, I don't know, you wanna add to that at all? You and I have talked about it.
I'm following your lead on this.
Yeah, but that's kind of my opinion on it. And if it can be repaired, and if it can be, you know, let's at least eliminate that, if it can't be repaired, so. And I know there's some local folks down there that have some attachment to the structure, I get that, right or wrong. So,
You could sell the stones.
sell the stones for.
Yeah.
Can you repair that and make it a 2-lane bridge?
It's not a bridge, actually.
It's actually a culvert,
It's a culvert.
right? And
The bridge is 20-foot span.
Okay.
But anyway,
Bridge.
Yeah,
What?
but,
it's already, historically, it was probably built in, it was built in horse and buggy times.
yeah, so the first part, half of it is stone, laid up stone, and then at some point, they widened it to double 2 lanes.
It's not 2-lane, is it?
It's close.
Well, if we remove the Jersey
The local rule that we
Jersey
don't.
barriers that are there,
It's pretty,
and put the guardrails back up to where the guardrails used to be for a truck holding them out,
Yeah.
we'd be close to 2 lanes.
yeah, I don't think most people are comfortable enough to pass a car there. You can kinda wade up
Well,
and,
the alignment isn't the
yeah,
best there either.
it is what it is.
Yeah. So,
But
anyway,
it's been altered, it's some more than once, you know, with the concrete.
yeah,
But that doesn't change the fact that there's definitely some history there.
yeah. And there's a legitimate concern on, you know, Mike wants to pave the road, obviously, and putting a vibratory roller on it, not a great idea.
They are
you
gonna
know.
do it, nobody do it.
No, and they're not
Because
gonna
it
put
is
the
a
grinder
masonry
across
structure.
it.
No, not gonna happen.
So, again, and I'm not a bridge guy, but we can get some advice.
So what is our next step?
I think to talk to some people who are bridge people and just
I'm gonna.
Culvert.
culvert people, thank you.
Yeah. I have some, not everybody I work with is retired, but, I have some contacts still down in Watertown, and I'm trying to find some inexpensive, good recommendations as best we can get. And I think, you know, through the DOT, we can at least take a stab at that.
Right.
I would be very, very, very afraid to go too far within a big time, hiring a consultant to study that, because in all likelihood, it'll get load rated and maybe even closed. I mean, who knows? Before we can
I
really
thought it was
do-
already load rated, I thought they did that.
What's that?
I thought they put a restriction on that.
That's what
a
load,
few
I mean
years-
by load rated.
That's what I mean, I thought
It's
that
already done.
I thought that happened like 5 or 6 years ago.
I don't think it's posted.
I don't think it's
It's not
posted.
posted, and tractor trailers still go over it to go up to the top.
I don't think it's posted. The legal limit is 80,000 pounds, 40 tons. So anything less than that would be considered load rated.
I just remember when the tractor trailers are supposed to come up Log Hill and come in that way.
I think most people with a big vehicle that knows about this
Yeah,
would not go there. They kind of work their way around the
I
other
thought there
way.
was some tonnage signs.
Yeah. I don't
If
think
there
so.
were, they're gone now, let's put it that way.
I'm pretty sure they're worth it, yeah.
It might have disappeared.
But the DOT inspects bridges every other year and culverts every 5 years, so, and that's a culvert, a large culvert. I'm not saying they do large culverts. I don't, you know, they may even have some history on, an inspection on that already. We kind of figure out what they have and see if they
Right.
make some recommendations.
So they do, that's a town road, isn't it, or is it a county road?
It's a town road.
Town
They do
road.
all.
So DOT does all roads?
All bridges in the state and large culverts, not like a 24-inch pipe. That would be considered a large culvert. They could very well have something. I can't say for certain.
Yeah.
So you'll get a hold of,
Yeah, no. I was gonna do that today, but I got sidetracked with some other things.
okay.
So,
Anything else, Rob?
no, I don't think so. Unless you guys have anything. You got anything for me? Oh, water tank painting, bids are due, redwood water tank painting on the 24th, and also the water line replacement bids are due on the 24th as well, for that stretch of water line, you know, as you're going out towards Redwood.
Has there been any interest, have you heard?
I'm having a hard time with tank painters. I can't, you had to have a local tank painter that used to be in business in Clayton, and haven't been able to get them interested. And then all the other tank painters are downstate in Buffalo area, western New York, and I'm trying to get some interest there. As far as the water line replacement, I've got one contractor for sure that's given us a price, and I've sent it to a couple others. Cause it'll probably be directionally drilled through that wetland, it's probably the best way to do it. And so, three contractors are holding the documents to bid it.
Okay. Thank you, Rob.
Just, if you're in Redwood tomorrow, stop over at the gate for Cost, at the flume, where that catch basin is.
Right.
There's a great big hole beside it. Okay. So you might wanna just take a look at it.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Not a good thing. I don't think it's a good thing.
Okay.
Just, if you're over in Redwood, take a look at it.
Okay. Is this where the grates are over?
No, back
I mean,
between, the wall and 37, there's that one, catch basin.
On Felder's side?
Yeah,
Okay.
there's the hole there.
Okay.
I'd like to take a look at it.
Alright.
Yep, yeah.
That's been the problem area, thank you.
Didn't let me know if it was good when I emailed, so I didn't mail it, 'cause I figured I'd see you.
Thanks. That's all.
Okay.
Thank you.
Item number 4, fire alarm system at the highway buildings. So we got some prices, Mike got us some prices on a fire system over there, and one of the 3 people gave us a price on the back building. We talked about this at the last meeting. We store a lot of valuable equipment in that 3-sided building, lean-to. So we need to add that and get a quote for all 3. I had sent Mike an email, I don't know where he's at in getting new prices. The one price that we had that we were gonna take, we went past the 30-day mark, and that price changed by $300, I wanna say, or whatever.
Something, yeah.
So, realistically, to do the bidding or the price quote, we gotta have 3 prices. And I think everybody here agreed at the last meeting that we definitely wanna include that other building that has valuable equipment in it. So we need to get price
So,
quotes.
you want me to tell him tomorrow to get 3 new prices, including the back building?
Yep. Okay?
Yep.
That'd be great. Brush pit regulations. You got a thing in front of you, we've been passing this around and adding and subtracting to this for 2 or 3 weeks now. I did add a couple of things that we didn't talk about at the last, discussion on this, and that was violators, if people that are not Town of Alexandria properties, owners are caught or they're in violation, so I put a violation in there with some fines. I think that's a pretty stiff fine, and I think it needs to be a stiff fine, the same thing as the next one.
Yep.
I think those 2 are very important to us, and they start the first time 1,000, second time 2,000, third time 4,000. The rest are the ones that we talked about. Does anybody else have any more?
Put the no dumping on the
ideas?
side of the roads right up there too, because that's a hazard for people driving.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think they ought to be pretty healthy.
You think they ought to go to that other level?
Yeah, absolutely, yep.
Everybody else okay with that?
I'm fine with that.
So we're gonna go to 1,000, 2,000, and 4,000. So if everybody's okay with what we have right here, I'll redo it a little bit and send it off to, Andy Silver and prepare to do a local law at our next meeting.
I'm just gonna make one suggestion. Why don't we just make them all 1,000, 2,000, 4,000?
Make them all the same, put them right across.
You don't even have to put per thing on each sign. You can simply put it at the bottom.
Yep.
Any of these
All
violations.
violations, fines are blank, blank, and blank, done.
They're serious enough. Good with that?
Yep, that makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
So after that, I'll make a motion that we send this to Andy Silver and.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Second that. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, none. Next one, water leak Redwood. Jamie came upon a water leak in Redwood, and it was a strange situation of a faulty part, that was put in, I guess not by us.
It was put in by the contractor. It was just a fitting that I would have never used on it. So, I believe it's on us. You know, as far as.
He believes it's on us.
So.
So it was a contractor that the town hired to.
Do we know who it is?
Yes.
Okay.
17 years ago. So.
Oh, okay.
And the installation of the line, yeah.
Yeah,
This wasn't part of the original installation?
it was.
It was?
Yes.
So are there more of those? In other words, you said you wouldn't use it, there's more of those?
I've had other ones dug up, well, what it is, it's a meter pit, and then what they do, they come out of the meter pit to a curb stop. Well, between the curb stop and the meter pit, it was a compression fitting, and the one that they used was more for like copper pipe than the plastic, the 1-inch plastic that's copper tube inside. So I believe that that fitting should never been used. So I would like to see us, you know, help the homeowner out with the water, you know, because it did go through his meter.
What was the gallons or dollar amount, Sandy, do you have that?
It was around 20,000.
20,000 gallons.
So it's like $80. And I believe they come and talk to you about it.
No.
They did not. Okay, I was under the impression that they spoke to you.
You talking about the owner?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
I'm trying to hear you. Yeah, he spoke to me about it, basically said the same thing that you just said, but I much rather wanna hear that from you.
Right, you know, so.
Yep.
If he wouldn't have come forward, you know.
And what I kept,
Right.
yeah.
Mhm.
You know.
what's,
I'm fine with it. I think your question's leading to the fact of
Maybe
how many more are we gonna do?
right, and should they get dug up?
This is 17 years,
Yeah.
it's been there.
Right.
Yeah.
How long's it been leaking for, do you
I
think, Jamie?
just, well, 'cause I go out and do a consumption read every 2 weeks, and, you know, so it was probably 3 weeks ago that I did it. And you know, his reading's been fine, and all of a sudden, I
It
noticed
spiked.
that he had a high water usage.
Okay.
And then, and he took it upon himself to dig it up, everything, and, you know, he wanted me to come over and look at it, and I was like, yeah, that's not,
Was it corroded, or was it just loose, the compression thing just was loose?
it was loose.
Yeah.
It didn't have a insert in it, it was just,
So
They
what's,
put that little metal
They didn't put the metal insert inside of the plastic pipe?
yeah,
So that was probably a problem.
yes, so.
Okay.
We should help them.
Let's help.
It's $80, like,
Correct me if I'm wrong. That's why I specifically asked about it, was put in the original construction, you're saying it was?
Yes,
Aren't we responsible for it for the life of the loan? I'm pretty certain we are.
You're responsible for maintenance for everything.
But I'm saying the original construction was part of the, you know, the original loan, so that's.
Yeah, it's your responsibility to own, operate, and maintain.
Yeah.
And you're right, it's for the 38-year,
So it's our problem.
yeah.
it makes it pretty simple.
Right, no, I agree, I just wondered, in a normal situation, is it like water meter to the house, is the homeowner's?
Well, in the case of the Redwood Water District, you know, they didn't have anything before. So the project included everything
Hooked everybody.
right into the house.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and, because from a practical standpoint, a lot of these laterals were in rock, and a homeowner isn't gonna blast rock to hook up to a new water system, you know, and so the funding agencies at the time said, listen, we'll pay for the connections right to the house,
Okay.
drill through the wall, and so you did all the work, but that does make you responsible, as Mike say, for the time of the loan to own, operate, and maintain.
except, and,
Well,
you know, like a double wide or a trailer where it's sitting on a pad, that's why they
put them.
they installed the meter pits.
Right.
And
So that's why I asked the
That
question.
was that instance where they hooked into their old line.
Right, so they cut the well line, probably, they had a well.
Yeah.
So they cut the well line somewhere and routed it to the meter pit.
Yes.
And it was that connection probably, or was it
No,
back at the
it was
meter
actually
pit?
between where the meter, come out of the meter pit to the curb stop,
Okay,
so.
yeah.
But conversely, if it's something they did, and that failed, but that's not the case.
No.
No, it wasn't anything the homeowners did.
No.
You need a motion?
Yeah.
Okay.
Motion by Ron we're gonna do our usual gallon averaging
Yeah.
to find out what the normal would be,
Yeah, we'll go by probably
and the
this time
difference,
last year,
and the difference from the average
Yeah.
will be on us,
yes.
okay? That's Ronnie's motion, second by Sean, any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, none. Highway report, I don't have anything, Jim, you have anything? Nope.
No, I know they're working on the Sanders, I think we have one more to rebuild,
Yeah, he told
and
me
then
that.
they're all done.
Yeah.
Mud Lake is done, Mud Lake and Rod and I are going to meet at Butterfield, and mowing has begun, that's about the gist of it.
Oh, yeah, Mud Lake's all done too, I forgot that. Yeah, they seeded and mulched it this week, so,
Monday.
yeah, so that's all set.
Is the DEC guy gonna come down and look at it? or-
I've been sending him photos.
I saw that.
Every,
He seems to be very happy.
yeah,
Okay, that's important. I wanna thank Gene for everything you've done on that, Gene.
You do a lot.
You and Rob's man have been
yeah.
I was just.
all over that. So, okay, we'll move on to, number 9. Everybody has a copy with their name on it of the operating statement and the balance sheets, here.
Yep.
And they've already been posted on our town website.
Okay,
Mhm.
thank you.
Budget transfer, pink sheet.
Saw it floating around
Over there?
somewhere earlier.
Okay, for budget transfers. General A account. Debiting everything in general A. The first one, justices, personal services, health insurance buyout. $4,000 supervisor health insurance buyout, $2,000 clerk to the supervisor health insurance buyout, $5,000 DPW health insurance buyout, $2,000 buildings Redwood sewer, $800 streetscapes $900, special facilities personal services $3,000, special facilities contractual expenses $1,000, special facilities Plessis Firehouse $84,000, refuge brush pit $6,000. Appropriated fund balance $108,700. To cover expenses due to reclassification of Redwood sewer, water expenses, streetscape expenses, extra work at Mud Lake and Brush Pit, and approval of dollars to Plessis Firehouse, and board approved increases in health insurance buyouts. Next item is Redwood sewer. We have a health insurance buyout, personal services of $1,000 debit. SS contractual expenses of $1,000 credit to cover board approved health insurance buyouts. For 12 water, unemployment insurance, $26 debit. Administration contractual expenses, $26 credit. Cover expenses within its own fund. Carnegie Bay Water, transmission and distribution contractual expenses, $4. Administration contractual expenses, $4 credit. To cover expenses within the fund. Redwood Water, TD and PS High Personal Service Health Insurance buyout of $1,000 debit. The next one is $1,000. What's the T and D?
What's the account number?
That's in water. T and D.
What's the account number?
83401.21.
What'd you say, 83401?
83401.21.000.04.
Transportation and distribution.
Transmission and distribution.
Okay, yeah. Transmission, distribution, personal services, health insurance buyout, $1,000 debit. Transmission, distribution, $1,000 credit. Administration contractual expenses, $16 debit. Administration contractual expenses, $16 credit. To cover the board approved health insurance buyout and to cover expenses within its own fund, a journal entry will be made at year end to distribute the health insurance buyout to other water districts. Any questions? If not, I need a motion.
Just curious, we changed that buyout, I thought quite some time ago. Didn't we change that like quite a while ago? I'm just wondering.
We changed it
This year.
About first of the year, right?
Yeah.
Right, I just wondered why we didn't do these sooner or something.
So, we had issues with them. She gave us these same ones last month, right? And there was an issue, one being an issue, I think,
Well, it was divided.
how it was allocated to Redwood sewer, I think. So I'm assuming these are
Yeah.
bumped ahead.
Yeah.
I think the sewer and the water, we were asking how it was gonna be allocated out to all the different
Proportionately,
districts and
yeah.
why it wasn't
Yeah,
done.
But I'd have to go back to minutes to
Yeah,
find out
yeah,
when we
yeah.
actually
You're
did
right.
that.
Okay.
Do you remember?
I'm just wondering if we're all caught up on that.
2 months ago.
I think she.
It was only
had
2 months ago,
She
probably?
only had it
Okay.
to 2 instead of all.
I think that's why she said in the end, there'd be a journal entry at the end of the year to distribute it out amongst all the other districts.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I noticed in the bills I was going through today that, a lot of those expenses that were water and sewer, especially water, were allocated 5 different directions, which is from our last board meeting where we said we wanted that done for everything.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep.
So I'll take a motion. Motion by Sean, second by Gene. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, none. Okay. Pass that that way.
No, please, don't.
Pass that one that way. Redwood welcome sign status, all 3 signs are up. The Historical Society, took care of, the installation. I actually think there's something in this week's Sun, isn't there, Pam?
I'm not sure, 'cause I went away, but I sent, what you sent me, I sent that to Craig.
Yeah.
And then I went away, I just got back now.
Okay.
Sure.
I
I
think,
haven't seen it yet.
okay. But the signs look great. There's a lot of compliments. I've had text messages and phone calls from people over there, and to tell the story about what happened. I just wanna tell the story that 4 years ago, I was working at my store in Redwood, and one of my regular customers by the name of Thermal Hazelton came in, and he said to me, he says, you know, Brent, all these other communities have these nice welcome signs going into their communities. What would it take to put one of those signs in Redwood to get, you know, for the roads coming into Redwood? And I kinda looked at him and I thought for a second, I said, that's a great idea, Thurman. And he's the one who had the idea. I went to the Historical Society, I came to the town board for the money to put the signs up, which was $1,800. And everybody was in favor of it, and now we're 2 years down the road, and the signs are up and they look great. Good. So, just so you know what's going on. Goose Bay Ramp parking lot, as Rob said, we're real close. That ramp area, I'll have to get with you and look at that.
Yeah.
The one thing we have is we have a bunch of stones from Mud Lake that we removed from Mud Lake that are at the sewer plant, I believe, piled up.
I know there's somewhere, yeah.
Good size stuff.
The square ones that he had on the front, right?
Is that what they are?
I think so, I think it was what he had the retaining wall built on it.
Oh, right, yep.
We just need to take a look at that and see
if you can use them.
See what we can do.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And I asked Jamie last week about, and I've asked anybody else any ideas, what we can do to keep the four-wheelers off that trail. Because I got a report from the people that live there that the four-wheelers are having a heck of a time on that trail.
Now?
Yes.
How are they getting on it?
Yeah.
There's big
I
stone
thought
blocks
it was
that
blocked that long time
a gate
ago.
on one end and a big stone block.
Wait a minute, well, I'm sorry, I'm talking about the path at Goose Bay.
Oh.
Oh.
Where there's no stones.
Oh, the new path we just put in?
Yes.
No way.
That I'm worried about it going down.
It's only been there a week.
Yeah. They're all over it the other day.
No, I wasn't kidding.
I got pictures, matter of fact.
Alright, so let's put some blocks there so they
Yep.
can't.
So I think we have two issues there. One is the side, and the other is
Yeah.
to make it for walking and not
Yeah.
tearing it up.
That's simple enough. We can take some of those blocks and.
Okay. So we'll take a look at it, Rob.
Alright.
I thought he was talking about Mud Lake too.
Thanks.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out how they're in around the boulders on the end of it.
All blends in. Water and sewer, I don't have anything, or DPW. Mike, do you have a water sewer committee report? Or just what's going on?
Well, we're plugging away on the sewer ordinance, but we kind of bounced around, of late, we kind of bounced around, and we kind of came around to a very unusual topic that doesn't happen very often, but it still happens, is filling pools. And we have at least one vendor that will go over to, happens to be your property over Brown's Corners there, and there's a place you can pull off the road, and there's a hydrant there. And he'll contact Jamie will go out there and provide him with a meter, so it meters how much water he uses. But then the question came up is, how much we're gonna charge for this? And we've been using, I don't even know how we came up, somebody came up with a number of $10 a thousand. And Sandy did a whole lot of work and looked at our two biggest users and figured out what based on the cost of the source supply, cost of water, then how much they pay for the capital for the water line and then overhead maintenance to find out what the overall cost per thousand. And it came out to be, in both cases, actually a little bit greater than $20. So we kind of decided to go with $20. So we we amended a section of the water ordinance that we just got done passing a little while ago. We're gonna kind of ponder it over the next meeting, and then we'll present it to the board for their consideration to amend the existing ordinance to accommodate this section that wasn't previously covered.
So you wanna wait till the next meeting till we deal with that, and we'll talk more about the rate?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Go with that. Thanks, Mike. Arena Youth, you know, what do you think?
I don't have anything new there.
It's been busy. I talk to Dennis every day. The school's in there. I was down there today. The school's in there. I kinda wonder some days when it's sunny or not quite so warm or cold, but they've been using it and, everything's going smooth down there that I know of. Anybody know of anything else, what have we had for, I don't think there's been any issues.
No.
That I can think of.
Looks great.
Yeah.
I just wish it was my idea, but it wasn't.
If you look at it, you think it must be somewhere else.
Great match eight.
I have a question, how long?
Yeah,
I have a
definitely got it.
question. How long is the school gonna be using the parking lot? They've got all kinds of stuff in there, and I know one day last week I had to go down there to pick up flowers. The skating club had their flower pickup there, and it was,
They use it as a staging area.
yeah.
That's brutal.
It's like, how long is that gonna go
So
on
it's a
for?
staging area because of a roof replacement on the new
Right,
building, not
right.
replacement, but building, okay?
Mm.
And if you notice, the parking lot was full of lots of roofing, it was all roof. There was
How long is
insulation,
it
that
gonna
was,
be there?
and that pile is a quarter the size of what it was. So I think hopefully with the weather.
Supposed to be done June, I think.
They'll get the roof done and get that
So-
stuff out
So
of it.
it'll be out of there before people wanna start putting boat trailers and that sort of stuff in
Yeah,
there,
they'll still
using
be-
it for what it's supposed to be
They'll still be
used for.
wrestling with it, but yeah, from my understanding, I think it's right around the end of the school year, the
Is
roof
it?
will be on.
Perfect time, when the kids get out of school, they don't go to gym.
So they got a hold of you before they did
Yes,
that.
they did.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank
Not-
you for asking that, because I look at it every day. Every day.
That's also rumor
And
mill,
there's
so,
all- there's
I got no
several,
That's just what I
my-
heard.
My
because
worst
of
fear
that.
is it's gonna be August right
And the
before
teachers
school
don't
starts.
Yeah.
have places to park.
Oh, they'll
I mean,
still
it's
be
a
there.
whole
I just
snowball.
don't think it'll have that much material.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they consolidate it.
Okay, I don't have anything else, does anybody else have anything else?
You didn't put me on either, he left us both on.
That's good.
Can I give my clerk?
That's why I sent it to you and asked you to check it for me.
Yeah, so
I thought you were putting the agenda together.
No, he still likes to do that. All right, April clerk report, I had 25 gift certificates, 6 births, 15 dogs, 1 marriage license, our first marriage officiant license, which was a huge hit, and we're gonna get another one here real soon. 2 transfer site permits, total that I turned over to the supervisor was $597.83. I did attend the New York State Clerks Association Conference in Syracuse. That was very educational. Friday and Saturday of this week, Donna and I will be attending a cemetery workshop in Lewis County. It's down in Loudville. I'm going in person. She's gonna do remote Friday here, so the office will be open, and then Saturday, we're gonna drive down for the hands-on in the cemeteries. It is free, so it's not costing us anything. I have received my notary license from Department of State. My stamp came in this last week, so at this time we can, whenever the clerk's office is open, both her and I have our notary, so we can notarize stuff whenever. Jefferson County Building and Code Inspector was here yesterday, found this building in good order, no deficiencies. Jamie took them down to the ice arena, and there is 1 fire extinguisher there that is due for inspection, not a big deal. And I do, going back to water and sewer, have a question there. We have 16 parcels on the Otter Street that have not paid their capital assessment that we billed in January, because that's the district that it didn't make it onto the taxes. The board gave them until May 31st. My guess is that these 16 parcels just have forgotten about it, lost it, whatever. My recommendation is I would like to send them a second notice now, or the 1st of June, because by then they're past their May 31st deadline, and say, in case you lost it, didn't get it, whatever, this is due. If they don't pay it, it's up to you. We can either spread it out over the last 3 quarters of this year, because they've already missed 1 quarter, or we can bill the whole thing onto their July water bill. Personally, I like the whole thing in July for the following reason. If there's somebody that doesn't pay their bill and it gets re-levied, anything after July won't get re-levied until the following year. So you're gonna lose out on that. But that's your choice. You tell me what you want me to do and I'll do it.
I'll go with your suggestion, Sandy.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
So I will send out a second set of bills to those that haven't paid, And if they don't pay by our next water billing,
July first.
it'll be added on to that, okay.
Okay.
Good. That's all I got.
I think that's all we have.
Make a motion to go into executive session to discuss
Motion by Sean to go
litigation.
into executive session. Second by Gene. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, no.
So easy for you guys.
Thank you.
Brent, I have a question. How do you appeal an appeal? Like, who do you appeal it to?
That was gonna be my question.
What court?
Court of Appeals.
Another court.
I know, but didn't that go to the Court of Appeals?
No.
So what